Welcome back to Bloodborne, possibly the last episode of Bloodborne. In this episode, we're going to finish off some of the content we missed. You'll see here there's an elevator that has appeared in the Nightmare of Mensis. It's along this, it's right inside the main entrance where you fight the NPC after the big spiders with the pitfalls in the floor. This will appear when you drop the Mother Brain down to get the original Blood Rock. You can come in here. Ooh, go. Okay. But you do need to have the where is it? Oh, I don't have it. Funny. You need to have the make contact gesture equipped. Because what you do is you walk up to the Mother Brain. She's going to be here in the dark. It's very creepy. And you use the gesture to get a rune. She's right here. It's incredibly creepy. But anyways, so you do this. And you have to hold it for, I think, a minute. I don't know why they would force you to do this, but you have to hold this for like a minute and change. And eventually you'll get a rune out of it. But I will just cut it here and wait till we get the rune. So I'll see you then. Alright, you can see that my arms move. Then you get moon. You get the best moon rune out of that. And now you can kill her. It's a lot of damage. Let's see if I... Yeah, that is less. 2,700 I did with the, That's interesting. As you can see, it just has amount of HP. Come on. And we get the living strength. Let's give that a read. Special material used in a Holy Chalice ritual. The immense brain and mensis retrieved from the nightmare was indeed lined with eyes on the inside, but they were of an evil sort, and the brain itself was terribly rotten. But even still, it was a legitimate great one, and left a relic, a living relic, that which is precious, which is a precious thing indeed. So this is just for the Chalice dungeons. A note on that, I have decided to not do the last two Chalice dungeons, the Defiled Chalice dungeon and the E-Hill Dumeru Chalice dungeon, mostly because that content is some of the most frustrating, unnerving, and poorly made content in the game, because the Defiled Chalice halves your HP, and it makes it so that every boss you fight can one-shot you with almost every move that they use, and it makes it so that most enemies can one-shot you, and that wouldn't be that big of a deal, even though that's stupid, but that wouldn't be that big of a deal, except for one of the bosses you fight in the Defiled Chalice is Amygdala, and Amygdala you fight in a tiny room. So when she goes into her second phase, all she does is jump, and the jump move that she uses is not reliably dodgeable, so it's literally RNG to a point of making it through that fight alive, because getting hit by that jump is an instant death no matter what level your HP is at. You could go in there with 1 HP, doesn't matter, you could go in there, it doesn't... So it's just, it's very poorly made, and the video I would make about doing it would just be a bunch of cuts of deaths, and I might not even complete it, even though I'm at level 140 right now. It's that difficult. It's that stupid. So we're just gonna go beat the game. There's nothing really to see either. At the end of them, you fight Queen Yarnum, the lady in the white dress. And the stupid thing is, she's ridiculously easy compared to everything else you did to get there, and you don't get anything from it except for an item that just has a little bit of lore on it, and the lore is stupid because all it tells you is about the Queen of Yarnum. It's just like, if you want full completion, you have to do it, because there's a trophy actually tied to getting to the Queen of Yarnum and killing her, but not doing it for the purposes of this playthrough. It's too frustrating.
Good hunter, you've done well. The night is near its end. Now, I will show you mercy. You will die, forget the dream, and awake under the morning be freed from this terrible hunter's dream.
So you can have him kill you, and it ends the game. You had no boss fight, the game just ends. Or you can refuse him killing you and fight him. We're gonna refuse.
Dear, oh dear. What was it? The hunt? The blood? Or the horrible dream? Oh, it doesn't matter. It always comes down to the hunter's helper to clean up after these sorts of messes. Tonight, Gammon joins the hunt.
So we have to fight Gammon. It's pretty fast. Especially when he does charge up moves like that, which take 30 minutes. Might get me here. He's kind of a cheap fight because some of his moves, I swear to God, you can't dodge. Oh, and then my character just misses. That was a sad day. Now he has an instant parry. For some reason, his gun instantly parries you. Oh, he rolled into me for that. Oh, that's not the shot that does it. The shot that instantly parries you, like, is thicker, it looks, in this animation. Alright, so you gotta dodge backwards to get that. So now he doesn't stagger anymore. So now you have to do this bait, run and hit bullshit. Preferably not miss. I think this is like a one-shot. Oh no, okay. I got away from it by living. I wish I wouldn't miss that all the fucking time. He still got me with that? I dodged it. And then he one-shots me. You see that? Full HP to nothing. They allow bosses to do that in this game. They're very cheap. It's not a fair death either because in the Dark Souls game that rarely happens. So when you die in Dark Souls, you can feel like it's cheap, but to an extent, it's a matter of skill. Like if you go from full HP to dead, you didn't heal yourself on the way back, you can kind of blame yourself. In this game, you can blame the enemies because they literally kill you in one hit, even when you got 1400 HP. It's ridiculous. Let's just put on more defense, I suppose. All damage reduction. Physical damage reduction, sure. don't even know what that move was. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Alright, man. Level 140 and you one-shot me. Come on. I wanna... Hit me twice. This one's actually kind of more threatening than his fucking right one. Yeah, because he just jumps away whenever you hit him anyways. Okay, you're telling me that wasn't a hit? Oh, there's his parry. Oh, he didn't get it. Come on, roll into me. Come on. Jesus Christ. So you'll notice the second round he didn't use his explosion attack. He didn't jump in the air and one-shot me. I don't know what they were thinking with this boss. I really don't like him. We get the old Hunter's badge, which is nice. And now the moon presence shows up. So this is the old one. This is the great one that's responsible for literally everything that's been going on in Yharnam, because his game is he uses the blood to find a surrogate. Once he's found the surrogate, he created the Murgo's Nightmare. Now, if you hadn't used the 3 umbilical cords, this would end here, and you would become Gammon. You would become the next Gammon. But, since we use the umbilical cords, we are so insightful that we cannot be enthralled by the Great One. This guy can also be difficult. The trick is to try to stay next to him. That move he just used will put you down to 1 HP. How did I just miss this giant beast? I prefer he wasn't in the corner, but is he just gonna keep doing this to me? I don't know what that move is. Oh, it rains blood. Cool. Yeah, didn't expect me to get all my HP back, did you wanker? Yeah, so he's easier than Gammon, but he can be tough. And again, we get Nightmare Slain. And 230,000 souls, which is a little ridiculous. And we get turned into a little slug. So this is the... I don't know what canon ending is for this game, but in this ending we actually become a great one. We transcended our humanity. We turned into a slug.
Oh, good hunter.
Well, that's it for Bloodborne. For me, anyways. I believe I did most, if not all of the content, aside from the last 2 Chalice dungeons. Thank you all for watching. My review of this game is, I think, in essence, it's better than Dark Souls, but there are some aspects of it that are worse. One of those aspects, and like we just saw in this episode, was the capability of a boss to do one-shot or to have one-shot potential. That's absolutely terrible design in a game like this, or a FromSoft game in general, because the HP count that you have effectively doesn't matter, and it's as if you could have walked in there with 1 HP. Now that could be a thing. You could have a mode that's called no-hit mode or something that they could have added in, which would have changed the way that you played the game. But for the purposes of the game, you walk in there with 1500 HP, you're not expecting a boss to hit you, to kill you in 1 hit. That's an absolutely ridiculous thing. And Gammon's not the only boss that can do that. The Defiled Chalice is a stupid chalice because it halves your HP, so you basically can't get hit at all. Another thing I don't like about this game is most of the runes don't do anything for you. You'll never use anything other than the moon runes, the defense runes, and the HP and HP and stamina runes. Everything else is like really highly specific, and you could see in the episode where I fought Maria, where I put on the claw mark runes, 2 of them, to increase my visceral damage by 30%. It didn't actually increase my damage by that much. In fact, just attacking her to death was still a more viable option than looking for the parry window. So things like that. Chalice dungeons I thought were a really good idea. It's just the blood gems you find in them aren't worth the trouble. To some people they are, I suppose, but to me they're not. But anyways, I don't know what I'm gonna do for the next game that I play. Might be Dark Souls 3, who knows. It'll definitely be an easier playthrough. In my opinion, Dark Souls 3 is a much easier game than Bloodborne. Bloodborne's difficulty level spikes about halfway through the game, and Bloodborne itself is a very unforgiving game in that you can't guard anything. So if you play Bloodborne and then you move on to Dark Souls 3 or any Dark Souls game, it's like night and day, because you're allowed to have a shield and not just get attacked by things that go into their attack animation. Now to me, in my mind, I've played so much Bloodborne and so much Dark Souls for dexterity builds in Dark Souls that my natural reaction is still to roll and to strike, so it won't be as hard for me. But I don't know, maybe I'll do a strength build in Dark Souls 3. I have never done that before, a fat rolling tank of a person. As for the plot in this game, the plot is definitely more cohesive than all of the Dark Souls games. The Dark Souls games are like lost, and all they do is add more questions, and refuse to answer any as all the games come out. The only thing that really answered any questions was when the Scholar of the First Sin came out for Dark Souls 2, and that just basically told us of why Gwyn is an asshole and blah blah blah. So that was really good. That was a good DLC. But Dark Souls 3 just created more questions. It's almost as if Dark Souls 3 was a pseudo retcon in ways. If I play it, I'll go into that. But as far as Bloodborne is concerned, the plot is really good in that it makes sense. It's not really ambiguous. The characters' motives and things are understood by the end of the game if you find all the items. It's not like you have to make conjecture about, you know, what the dark sign is and you know, if Gwyn is human or not, and you know, it's really all there. There's a hunt. The hunt is caused by this blood magic, or this blood, which causes people to turn into beasts, and you find out after you go through the hunt that that blood magic was caused by this great one, the moon presence, and the moon presence was simply just looking for a child this whole time, and you killed it. It's really quite simple, and the DLC is much the same. The DLC is about the orphan of a dead great one who washed up at this fishing hamlet, and it was cursed. You know, it's simple in its delivery, it's complex in its item descriptions, but it's not beyond the understanding of the player. Whereas the Dark Souls games definitely leave something to be desired when you fucking find all the items. It does not answer any questions. I don't know if there's anything else to say about Bloodborne. I like the animation style better. The idea that it's kind of like Victorian England, maybe like Industrial Revolution sort of England, is really, really cool to me. I like the outfits, the weapons. One of the main things about this game that I really like is you can keep playing. You can play through this game using different weapons, and it feels so fresh each time you do it. Like, you play through, you start with the saw cleaver, then you start another playthrough, you start with you get the hunter's axe, then you get the whip cane, and they're so different. And then you can also go into New Game Plus, in Bloodborne, and in New Game Plus you have, so you could see there from Gammon we got the who's it what's it badge. Let's find out. I think I could skip this, and it'll just load into New Game Plus. But all your items and stuff carry over, and you get the badge, and you can buy the burial blade. You can buy the scythe weapon that he was using in that fight. But anyways, just starting up a new file in this game, deciding what stat you want to increase, because realistically the way to do this game is you pick strength, skill, blood tinge, or arcane. You pick one, and then you find a weapon that scales with that stat and use it. So it's not very complicated.
All signed and sealed.
Yes, I know. And you can see we start back in Yosefka's clinic. And you just play through the game with it. The only problem with that is really some of the weapons for certain builds aren't till like later in the game, which sucks. Like, for example, if you did a blood tinge build, the best weapon you want to get as early as possible is the Chikage, and that's all the way at Canehurst Castle. Which doesn't make blood tinge builds very viable, but you see what I'm saying? And then, like, the DLC, they really caught on to that, and they made weapons like this, like the Whirligig Saw and shit. It's so nuts. The weapon system in this game is such a better implementation of this style of game than the weapon system in Dark Souls, where they just create classes of weapons and have standardized movesets. And, you know, granted, it must have taken a lot more time to animate, a lot more programming involved, which is probably why there's such fewer weapons. In Dark Souls, there's hundreds of weapons. In this game, I think there's a total of like 25 with the DLC, maybe less. But I need to get to for the last part of this, we're going to go to the Hunter's Dream and buy the Burial Blade. I can't use it because I don't have enough skill. But it is what it is. You can see the enemies do get a defense boost and a damage boost, clearly. But it's not by a lot. I think in New Game Plus, or New Game to New Game Plus, I think it's 40%, I want to say. 40% more HP, 40% more damage. Which, again, even further reinforces the concept that your HP bar is effectively useless. Especially when you're fighting bosses. Let's see. That's not to say there isn't an allure to Dark Souls 3's weapon system. It's really nice to find, in a classical RPG sense, it's nice to find that weapon that's just objectively better than the weapon you're using. That's always a good feeling. It kind of tapers off near the end because there are certain weapons that do less damage but have better movesets, like the differences between katanas, great swords, certain short swords. But at the beginning, like I want to say beginning to middle of the game, you literally just keep finding better weapons, like straight up Final Fantasy, like your sword sucks, oh here's a better sword kind of thing, which is really good. Oh man, she's not going to get up? Oh well. So we can look at the badge we got. Where is it? It's not there. Which one was it? There we go, Old Hunter Badge. This Hunter's Badge, crafted in Gehrman's time, has no practical purpose, except perhaps to assist in the romanticizing about the past. The badge is a special privilege for the hunters of the past and should not be dishonored. It should be left in peace, unless one is truly prepared to assume the will of those gone before. So that's what that's telling you is, if you had submitted to Gehrman's will, you would have cut your head off and you would have been fine. You actually wake up in the real world, and then you figure out the plot twist is the real world that you thought was real is not the real world either, and there's a realm above this realm, Inception style. Let's see. Cost Parasite, Amygdala, Bloodletter, Whirligig. Where is it? Archeo. Uncanny Blade of Mercy. There it is. No, it's not Burial Blade. Here we go. 60,000 souls. Can I use it? How come I keep losing this thing? Oh, I can use it. Alright, so this thing is it's pretty cool. It's a short sword. It's got a decent moveset. It's got horizontal and vertical attacks, which is what you want out of these short swords. And it has a poke. I think this is a poke. And its trick makes it a scythe. And the scythe is amazing. Its backstab, or its backstep is a pull. Its roll is an uppercut. Its regular R2 is... the animation for this I love. The regular R2, you put it behind your back. It's hard to see, but then you swing it forward, and then the charge is you don't do that, and you just go the other direction. So I think that's a really nifty idea for a weapon. The problem with this weapon is, even when you upgrade it to its highest level, you can see that it scales E, C, D, so you're not going to use it for its arcane, so the descaling falls away. And then you're left with the strength and skill scaling. I think at the best this goes into an A scaling with skill and a D scaling with strength. This weapon, at our level, is immediately outclassed by weapons like Ludwig's Blade, Ludwig's Holy Blade, the Whirligig Saw. Any weapon that has any sort of scaling that's higher than A in skill is going to give you more damage. And the idea is the Burial Blade weapon, its moveset isn't as good as other weapons too, like the Whirligig Saw, which gives you range. This is really cool. It feels good, but I feel like they could have made this weapon a little more powerful. That's the transform back. Alright, well, that's Bloodborne, everybody. Thanks for watching. Maybe I'll catch you next time in a playthrough of Dark Souls 3. Anyways, I'll catch you later.